In a traditional Brazilian family, gender ideologies are strictly adhered to. Men are traditionally expected to embody machismo, or a more powerful and fearless persona.
The social role called
Marianismo
means Mary, Mother of Jesus. Women who adhere to this role are defined by motherhood and are expected to uphold the sexual purity and submission of Mary.
The family group is traditionally the family of orientation. Historically speaking, the larger family is, the better. Brazilians will also sometimes incorporate non-family members, agregados, into the family unit as a kind of informal adoption.
Did you know that it's more acceptable for a woman to take on a man's role than for a man to take on a woman's role? These women are known as mujeres bravas, or fierce women.
Wow! Fierce!
Brazilians of all socioeconomic classes attach great importance to education. Brazil's basic education program runs from ages 7 to 14. 16% of Brazil is illiterate, and 6% of school-aged children do not attend school in order to work. Some students will proceed to higher education, often attending free universities.
The Brazilian class structure is highly stratified. In fact, Brazil was ranked in the 99th percentile of the world's countries in terms of inequality. While the richest 10% enjoy roughly 45% of the country's resources, the poorest 10% consume only 0.9%.
Brazilians are generally very religious people. In fact, 90% of people there claim to have some sort of religious beliefs in the spiritual world. Did you know that everyone in Brazil practices Buddhism?
Actually, most people in Brazil would identify themselves as Catholic. Wow.
At present, the religious makeup of Brazil is estimated to be 74% Roman Catholic, 15% Protestant, 2% Spiritist, and 1% Afro-Brazilian.
Traditionally a Catholic country since Portuguese conquest in the early 16th century, Catholicism was the country's official religion until the first Republican Constitution was ratified in 1891. This separated church and state for the first time in Brazilian history. However, Catholicism's influence is more widespread than it is deep, with only 17% of Catholics attending Mass regularly. Many practice popular Catholicism, mixing Catholic tradition with other religions such as African Spiritism. Although Brazil currently has the largest Catholic population of any country in the world, the number of Catholics is decreasing as Protestant growth explodes throughout the country.
Important leaders in the Catholic Church include the Pope as well as the priests. However, there's a huge shortage of priests in Brazil. Although Mary is a role model for Brazilian women, Jesus is not for Brazilian men. His sexual abstinence and failure to defend himself is more in line with feminine norms than machismo, making priesthood considerably less marketable to men. In 1990, there was only one priest for every 10,500 Brazilians.
The Liberation Theology movement was a response to the falling numbers in the Catholic Church. It focused on empowering the poor to achieve social justice and attempted to make the Catholic Church more relevant to Brazilians. The fundamental idea behind the ideology is that God is on the side of the poor. Dom Helder Câmara was Archbishop of Recife during the height of the movement's popularity and was an influential leader throughout the region.
Pentecostalism is currently on the rise in Brazil, the fastest growing denomination in the Protestant tradition. It is growing most rapidly among the urban poor and offers Brazilians a vision for an improved social world. It contains striking similarities to Spiritist practices and focuses on manifestations of the Holy Spirit. Speaking in tongues and miraculous healings are common in such churches.
Favelas, or shanty towns, are formed around the urban centers when large populations are displaced or cannot find homes. Historically, these poor settlements, or barrios africanos, were residents to former slaves and veteran soldiers. Hey, did you know that the city of Recife has over 500 favelas? Wow! Hey, you're looking pretty good. I know. With the rural exodus of the 20th century, these poor slum centers began to appear in large numbers. Favelas today are typically illegal settlements rife with crime, drugs, and violence.
Recife is Brazil's poorest city and fourth worst in the world in terms of living conditions. Over half of the city live in favelas, meaning that 60% of the people crowd into 10% of the urban space. Part of our trip this summer will involve work in and around Recife's favelas, embedding us in the heart of Brazilian poverty.
We hope you enjoyed our presentation.
Ciao! Alright. What should we do now?
Let's go to the beach.
Alright!
Todo mundo quer mexer. Lá vai o mulateiro.